te ñëpp lay jàpp nag wasalaam.
mbokk yi jërë ngeen jëf ñu nuyuwaat leen ñu amaan mbégte dellu ci suba si leen ñu wax leen ñu ngi leen di jaajëfal bu baax a baax ci safo bi waaye ci kóolute bi ci ànd bi ngeen di ànd ak Africa TV toujours su waxtu bi jotee ñu dooree tey Monday 17th of course August 2020 fu ngeen munte nekk ñu ngi leen di ziar bu baax di leen masaw coono àdduna jamono ji métti na lool waaye mbégte lay doon saa su ne ñu jàkkaarloo ak yéen bu waxtu bi jotee xam ngeen ne rendez-vous lay doon bu 9 o'clock suba jotee ci Gambia of course ñu ànd ak yéen ci li nga xamante ne mooy lu fees ci suñuy xibaar ñu waxtaanee ko waaye tamit waxtaanee xew-xew jamono toujours ci suñu li nga xamante ne mooy jotaay jile comme niñ koy waxee saa su ne ñu ngi leen di ñaanal jàmm bu baax di leen jaajëfal ci safo bi ak ci kóolute bi ci taamu bi ngeen ñu taamu di ànd ak ñun ci programme bi well viewers once again welcome. It's another brand new week and of course a brand new Monday, an edition of the Good Morning Africa right here on Africa's TV. So wherever you might be watching around the world, we say thank you very much as always for coming along and of course for choosing our programs and more so to this program called Good Morning Africa. And with me this morning is Julden Jai Soare. We will miss Morning today. Ñu ngi ko nuyu di ko ñaanal jàmm bu baax xam nañ ko naman lool sa xarit bi waaye Julden ñu nuyu la wax la good morning ñu bàyyi nga nuyoo.
Jërëjëf Amadou, good morning to you and of course good morning to our viewers. maa ngi ziyaare tamit suma xarit bu baax Mood Ñang di laajte rek weda moom tamit mu ngi fine di ko ñaanal jaama rek fu munti nekk rek tey si suba si.
ñu ne yaram bi dafa la sutante tey moo tax.
loolu la waaye ñu ngi ko ñaanal rek mu am jaama incha allah. ñu amaan mbégte lool delluwaat fii si studio bi si beneen édition yi Good Morning Africa programme comme noo ko wax it's Monday brand new week brand new edition of the Good Morning Africa programme te interesting stuffs dañ happen on during the weekend and we promise to bring it all to you and then with interesting analysis that will follow.
Yeah, absolutely. Julden Jai, thank you very much. su ko defee noonu ko waxee noonu lañ koy defee ñu indi leen xibaar yu wérte wóor waaye tamit def ci analysis yu am solo yéen tamit ngeen am ci wàlla seen comment si saa su ne ñu kontaan ci ngeen cee wax di joxe seen xalaat ndax yëf yi moom ñun ñoo ko bokk te yéen a tax ñu nekk fii di leen digtal lu am solo si suñuy jotaay ci noonu tey nañ waxtaanee tolluwaay mbas mi COVID-19 ci réew mi yëf yaa ngi continuer di law local transmission si ak ci mel noonu mu nekk li nga xamante ne mooy lu doy waar situation bi ñu bari tiit si di ci am beneen taxawaay ci li nga xamante ne mooy ci ni ñoo xeexee mbas mi day am solo saa su ne ci loolu lañu leen di indil li xees am li nga xamante ne mooy li xees ci situation report bi nga xamante ne saa su ne ñu yore wàllum wergu-yaram Ministry of Health ñoom nañ ko dal di génne loolu la ñoo dooree ci kanam tuuti incha allah ñu yaatal ko bu baax jox leen li ci tolluwaay bi ci réew mi leneen njiitu réew mi comme na ngeen ko xamee ni ki Friday ajuma bu passé dafa jàkkaarloowaat ak waa réew mi wax ak ñoom ci li nga xamante ne ñu bari ñu ngi ko doon sàkkoo ci biir réew mi di wax ne daal jotoon na pour mu génn wax ak waa Gambia wax ak réew mi wax ak àdduna tolluwaay mbas mi ak jéego taxawaay nguur bi bu mu jël defoon na ko ci loolu nañ ci def ci taxaw seetlu jàngat yenn ci kàddu yi nga xamante ne njiiti réew bi waxoon na ko amaana ci kanam tuuti nañ ci dalal gan waxtaan ak moom ci loolu incha allah xaar leen loolu newspaper review ak Julden Njaay ci kanam tuuti mu indil leen ko li ettikar yëglekaay yi mooy newspaper si lu ñu xëyee tey ci suba si la su ko defee noonu la ñoo def rek daal di door jotaay ji dooree ko ak COVID-19 update because of course Gambia's COVID-19 casualties continue to increase with 9 new COVID-19 related deaths recorded, bringing the total number of deaths to 63 as the Minister of Health announced another 183 new cases, taking the total number of COVID-19 cases ever confirmed in the country to 1,872. According to the Health Ministry, this represents a 40% test positivity rate and 54 new people were discharged from the treatment centers, bringing the accumulative number of recoveries to 401 and at 22.0% recovery rate. Now, 462 new test results were received from the Medical Research Council and National Public Health Laboratory. Of these, 18 new tests returned intermittent and 183 new tests were positive for COVID-19. The country currently has 332 people in quarantine, 1,408 active cases and 183 probable cases, and a crude case fatality ratio of 3.4%. So that is the latest update from the Ministry of Health, and the situational report, of course, shows that the number of COVID-19 cases is increasing in the country rapidly, so I have to say, and which, of course, has been a concern and a worrisome for everybody, and we deem fit to talk about it every now and then. Julde mu ngi noonu loolu mooy tolluwaay mbas mi ci réew mi ñu gis 9 new deaths ci réew mi am tamit 183 new cases yi nga xamante ne annonce nañ ko saa yu ne ñu ko wax duñ ci taay di wax nag ndax jamono moo ko laaj ak tolluwaay bi tamit yëf yaa ngay yokku ñu bari ñu ngi gën a ragal gis nga taxawaay yu kilifa jël mu nekk lu métti ci ñëpp waaye is global is across the board daanaka wax ji àdduna ji yëpp loolu foo dem rek la ñu waxante ban jàngat ngay def ci tolluwaay bi surtout buñ jógee ci weekend bi.
Amadou jàngat bi mooy this is serious and every week dang dee dégg new dates te du dee am si 1 2 rek 3 daf dee dem 5 ba si kaw mu nekk loo xam ne daal dafa doy waar fu mu nekk nii te nit ñi dañ war a stay alert I think fu mu nekk nii lañ war a jël i jéego ay measures yoo xam ne dañoo help dimbale di coronavirus waaye comme I think ne nit ñi dañ war a jàppale seen boppa last week man doon dégg benn jigéen di wax si radio bi ne ku nekk dafa war a nekk police si boppam mu ne moom dafa dugga si moto am na ku salut face mask mu ne driver bi moo ko mu sol face mask driver bi waxut soo bu mu àggee si police bi mu report gaa yëpp mu bàyyi leen foofu noonu I think that is loolu noonu la nit ñi yëpp war a def ku nekk da nga war a nekk sa own police si boppa soo fekkee soo demee in a public place especially public transport yi nga gis koo xam ne mu ngi toogaa yow defut face mask or even ko defee sax ñu ngi ko def si wrongly mu ngi ko wear wrongly like butut ko si nose am bi but instead mu ngi ko nu ngi ko solo baaxul mu ngi ko def si gémmiñam bi o mu ngi ko aju ni si noppam mi nga xam ne loolu noonu you're not safe because fu mu nekk ni kooku noonu mu ngi wone ñi ñi rek maa ngi def face mask waaye at the end of the day defut ko te man in most cases dama dee gis ne police yi léegi ñoom tamit dañ xaw a relax on the coronavirus measures especially with the mask dégg la face mask bi is very important waaye bul gis rek nit ki sol face mask rek mu def ko si gémmiñam bi wala mu def ko side nga wax ne okay kon ka mu ngi ko amee that's it that is not the purpose of the face mask the purpose of the face mask is for people to protect themselves and of course the people around them loolu moo nekk loolu waaye nekkut pour danga ko sol pour nga escape from the police or whatever and I think ne loolu noonu dañ ko war a bàyyi xel te loolu sax du nekkut civilian si rek kese even police yi danga most of them traffic of police yi da nga gis gaa ñu ngi taxaw ñu ngi def seen mask bi on their chin rather than on the face mask on their nose so loolu noonu mu shows ne like the level how we are and you know how serious we are taking this coronavirus te I think ne loolu noonu dafa doy waar te fu mu nekk nii currently WHO ñoom dañ rank Gambia among the highest country loo xam ne with the highest infection rate you know in the region so mu nekk lu doy waar Amadou a small country like the Gambia registering over 30 deaths in just 1 week imagine how devastating that is
just démb rek maa ngi read some statistics yi nga xamante ne ñu ngi ma ko forward and then I saw compare Gambia ak Sénégal you know rate yooyu da nga gis ne Sénégal we are talking about 16 million people Gambia less than 2 million or whatever or 2 point something su fekkee yegg si na foofu but so seetee statistics yi lu ñu la wone you are more likely to be affected in Gambia sax than soo nekkee in Sénégal te Sénégal bu ñu doon hit ay thousands and what ñun time boobu ñu ngi ay less than 30 or whatever waaye léegi da nga gis ne ratio bi is different and
it's different and
what you know
it's alarming
so loolu mu nekk beneen affaire
So ñun su dee ne suñ toogee tey ñu ne Sénégal la ñoo compete with the number of coronavirus cases and deaths dañ ñun dañoo jee because 2 million ak 16 million you cannot compare those two so ñun fu mu nekk ni dañ war a jël measures dañ war a jël ay jéego ku nekk you should see yourself as a policeman and a policewoman koo xam ne you're there to protect not only yourself but the people and the country lii dañ ko war a there are strict measures that should be put in look at the government man daal foofu laa ko waxee social distancing bi si markets yi loolu moom léegi bàyyi nañ di ko because it's rather impossible like it's not possible la nga dem si marché yi sax you know nga bëgg a def social distancing doo ko mën a def because ñi they are jam packed ñi ñu ngi bari boo xam ne like it's crazy sometimes yo even man su ma demee marché su ma ñëwee dama dee ragal sax straight si bathroom bi laa dee dem dama dee wax ne hope man tey aw ma coronavirus because it's really devastating how these things are happening in the country
exactly considering the measures yi nga xamante ne jël nañ ko the curfews and the curfew and all that tey nga gis ne marché bi ñu la from 6 to 2 ñuy jaay affaire yu ñoo bagage ñoo lekka ñoon dañuy ubbi but within that time wàllante bu ci mën a am it's just you cannot tell ñu ne la ñu ne ñi ñu ubbi from 3 to 7 or to 6 whatever it is loolu tamit anything could happen because people are mingling people are interacting and you cannot there are some people li ci doy waar dañ koy waxati and we have said it 1,000 times or time without numbers that yes still there are some people who are in denial ñoom gëmuñ ne affaire bi am na and they say still believe it's politics and that's just why it is so and you look at the numbers are just increasing by the day so loolu mu nekk beneen affaire so ñun lu ñoo ñaax nit ñi ñaax ko suñ boppa mooy na nit ñi xam ne is real and people need to be more responsible jàppa yëfi du yëfi caaxaan mu ngee lor nit ñi mu ngee fàggakal tamit nit ñi waxoon naa ko fi di other time Sénégal bu yëfi demoon nañ ba mu gën a métti ministre bi dafa génn mu ne kuy weddi ne lii amut ne def la teewul sa mbokka because dafa demoon ba mu gis ne people were not serious about it waaye at the long run ñu commencé xam ne lii nekkul yëfi caaxaan te loolu tamit foog naa ne daanaka tolloo nañ fa people need to be more responsible te xam ne lii nekkul li ñooy caaxaane te lu am na I think that's important.
That's very important. Comme no ko waxee daal I would just reiterate what you just said Amadou. Coronavirus xam naa ne suñ ko waxee fii ba ëllëg duñ ko jeexal.
Absolutely.
Seriously. The country be like the way it is going all the sectors are affected. Léegi suñ la waxee ne every day soo xoolee report bi danga xool all the front line health workers yi ñoom ñoo the mostly affected. I mean these are people who are in the fight against COVID-19 to help us cure. Léegi ne sa soo demee sa danga wax ñu bari ñoo xam ne they are COVID-19 patients dañ la ale wax ne soo demee foofu noonu sax dañ la paag rek di la jox lekka rek waaye doo am kenn health worker bu la attend so and it's serious we need to take this seriously demand si health workers yi suñ make a demand we should do it quickly as possible to meet their demands, to make sure that their demands are met, and to also give them all the necessary things that they need in the execution of their duties.
That's very important, and of course with that I know we'll move on because we are going to stay with matters of COVID-19. I said it, the President spoke to the nation on Friday nañ ci ñëwaat léegi waaye fàttali rek ne situation bi ci mbas mi ci réew mi nekk na lu doy waar people are really being affected so seriously so léegi ñu bàyyi ko xel ñu continuer di wax rek ne di ñaax suñ bopp kon ñu ko waxee saa su ne ñaax tamit ñëpp ñu continuer di ñaax tamit ñeneen di wax rek ne Gambia réew bu tuuti la te wàllante bi nu moo tasaaroo ci biir réew mi cases yi dafa bari torop te war nañ cee bàyyi xel ku ne jël sa responsabilité te xam ne lii nekkul lu ñooy politique wala lu ñuy caaxaane ci taxawaay nguur bi ak leneen lu mel noonu loolu nañ ci àddu léegi ndax wax naa ko président Barrow jàkkaarloo na ak waa réew mi waxaat for the sixth time bi mbas mi yegsee si réew mi ak léegi ci loolu la ñoo yegsi xam naa ci kanam tuuti kon ni ma ko waxee amaana nañ ci dalal gan waxtaan ak moom jàngat loolu ci li nga xamante ne mooy ci situation bi loolu dafay nekk li nga xamante ne mooy lu am solo waaye ñu wax rek ne tamit beneen yoon ne mbas mi moom mu ngi fi te mu ngi def li nga xamante ne mooy lu serious kon nuñ ko waxee julde so nit ñi nañ bàyyi xel bu baax a baax xam ne this is really serious and it's not a joke, it's not politics and whatever. ñu recently tamit xam na balaa ñoo dem rek mooy li may dégg ñu ne ñi di wax mooy di bettut Gambia because it was ñu ngi ko doon waxantu maybe in China, in Asia, then Europe and then bu mu agsee Sénégal ñuy wax ñu ne ci la Gambia waroon na immediately close the borders,
Borders,
and
exactly.
then because at that time we had no case, but the first case was imported case. Then ñun dañ bàyyi ba affaire yi
mu
dugaat
law
jógee ci
duga
buta
waaw.
so and then ñu soog a tëj te tëj bi sax ñu ne tëj wax la rek waaye tëj bi even bu ñu waxee ne tëj na people ñu ne wala the authorities ñu ne of course people were going and coming and it was just why it is.
So whole lapses in when it comes to the coronavirus cases, Amadou, one would would be right to conclude the government be actually woefully failed the people when it comes to the COVID-19 response, especially in terms of the border. You know, like the border be for closed, yet people are sneaking in and out of the country. And what is worse, then la border be for porous. We know that it is porous border. Tey da nga gis benn kër fi Sénégal beneen bi Gambia. But here it can be controlled. I mean, our security forces are here. This is the right time to make best use of them. Gaa ñu dem si border yi ñu taxaw foofu noonu, you make sure that nobody gets in or out of the country. And not only border, every day. Da nga dégg plane yi in a day like man day I think dégg naa 3 planes yoo xam ne ñu ngi dem di ñëw. I was like sometimes my husband mu ne ma ne but I think the borders are closed. Ma ne ko ne well I asked you. So xam nga it's crazy every day dang dee dégg plane yi nga jaaxle sax ñu ne la dégg la plane yoo xam ne dañ dee andi essential commodities yi ak medicines yi ñooy duga but all the planes yoo xam ne ñoo dee duga nekkul ñoom net sometimes city tourists yi dañ dee duga si last time dañ doon interview fi Director of Health Promotion and Education moom laajte nañ ko biri loolu ñu ne ko ne we know ne there are tourists who are getting in the country mu ne well ñoom tamit dañoo def seetaat si loolu because they are not very sure of that how they are entering into the country but they will look into the matter and then tell the people what really happened but still now we are yet to hear from them so I mean these kind of things government bi tamit dañ war a bàyyi seen xel torop Amadou fu mu nekk nii daal it's an utmost responsibility on every government to make sure and protect your citizens. I mean, money it's important, but the lives of your people it's equally very very important. And a healthy nation is a developed nation. Without health, people are at standstill. They cannot move anywhere. So seriously, I think the government should really look at these issues.
Yeah, okay. That's important. Loolu am solo la su ko defee ñu fàttali rek loolu mooy tolluwaay bi ci réew mi and we will now move on ci li nga xamante ne mooy ci loolu ndax loolu dafa am solo bu baax a baax pour ñu wax ko nit ñi then ñu continue to the president's statement kon ni ñu ko waxee woon. We'll move on to our next story. Like I said, the president spoke to the nation. Now, Gambia's President Adama Barrow on Friday made his 6th national address since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country, saying the sudden rise in new cases and deaths from coronavirus is sad, and that his government development agenda has been drilled by the virus outbreak. A surge in cases in July and August has ravaged the country's health and economic sectors. President Barrow said the COVID-19 pandemic has challenged our health system and undermined economic growth, adding that it was important for the public to follow coronavirus emergency rules to help stop its spread. Barrow did not address calls to provide full medical packages to frontline workers and other urgent demands from civil society and frontline workers, like making available basic medication in the treatment centers. Instead, he said people need to unite in the fight against the virus. Since March, the Gambia government has made a series of emergency rules, most of which hurt businesses and daily wage earners and did not prevent a rapid rise in the confirmed cases. However, President Barrow said this was obvious as we live in unusual circumstances, which requires unusual, urgent and decisive action. Now, more than 1,600 people in the country have contracted the virus and more than 50 deaths confirmed. Several of the country's doctors, nurses and other health workers have tested positive for the coronavirus, creating a capacity gap for an effective response to the pandemic. Health facilities are struggling to cope as staff test positive or fears self-isolation. So that is the president's statement on Friday, and I am happily, of course, to say that we are joined on the platform to discuss on the president's address by Nyao Koma, who is not a new in this platform. Ñu waxtaan ak moom li nga xamante ne mooy président bana bataaxal wala boog message bu président bi amaloon li nga xamante ne mooy of course waa réew mi ci li nga xamante ne mooy tolluwaay bi ak taxawaay nguur gi ñaaw ñu wax la thank you very much for joining us ñu nuyu la bu baax nga ñu bàyyi la nga nuyoo ñi nga xamante ne ñoom ñooy seetaan right now.
Sorry, when somebody all the time they put face masks off because guidelines you read, it is more serious when you are talking spitting in your face mask than talking like lengen day definitely is very good social distancing be.
Wow.
Why? Because Nyomadej is everywhere in the world, including WHO, all the presidents and the prime ministers in the West. When they are not talking, they put the mask on. When they are talking, they put it off. So, wow, bobu yen da ngeen ragal rek stigma bi la rek comme niñ ko dee waxee. Thank you. I'm very happy and delighted to be here today to discuss on issues pertaining to this pertinent issues in society, that is COVID-19.
Indeed.
Obviously, it's everybody's business. It's apolitical. This is a national issue, and it depicts national effort to defeat this pandemic.
Absolutely.
So I will be very glad to discuss the most important issues in this speech and whatever we can do to cope COVID-19, because definitely it is a menace.
That's why it is, and we have limited time, so we get straight to what we will be talking about. Of course, like I said, the president, for the 6th time, addressed the nation on Friday, and of course, this is more or less after a demand or a call from many Gambians, including civil societies and other people. Tell us, what did you make of the president's message to the Gambians?
Definitely, I think it is late. And in the manner in which it is done, I'm not happy. We need an interactive president. Because you can see even by the
interactive
president, when you're giving, it should be a live feed. Journalists like you should be invited to that forum. Even if it's going to be a limited number, as per WHO guidelines, it should be observed. At least even if it's going to be a limited number, so that pertinent questions should be asked to the president and he should be able to answer to the country.
Yeah, but this was an address, not a press conference.
That's why I'm saying it should not be an address all the time. That's why I say it should be interactive.
Okay.
Because when you mean it's an address, do you know when it was recorded? It is not a live event. Nobody can, because even looking at what was said in this speech, if I can remember, the date told he was talking about in the speech was not 50, it was 40, if I can remember. That means that he was not current on the statistic, because it was Friday, and by Thursday the date told has passed 50. But he was talking about the date told 40 on that day in the speech.
So you're trying to say
it was not current, because if it is current, you would have talked about 50.
Perhaps it might be a technical error that can be excusable.
Yeah, maybe.
But on the message itself, what's your...
On the message itself is 50.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, what did you make of the message that he...
That's why I'm saying the message it should be interactive, because one, the government should not always be giving addresses talking about COVID-19. It is more like of explaining what have passed than the plans that you have to cope COVID-19.
You did not hear anything new?
I did not hear anything new. You talk about what it has done to the economy that has already been done and is still doing it, and it will continue doing that. You telling us the curfew, people were very compliant. The Gambians are law-abiding because everybody want to save your life. It's like run for your life. So before even 10 o'clock, the streets are that clear. It is also, notwithstanding, you will have some elements who are very stubborn. They will tend to break rules. Some of them, I don't blame them, because there are many homeless people also. They sleep on the streets. So if you deny them, they will one day have to roam about and create that diversion so that they can able to have somewhere to put their heads down. I can understand some of those, what the serious ones are always indoors before 10. So when you talk about that and other issues,
before they will come in, would it not be surprising if you say it has been an old same story from the president, and we are talking about the 6th time he's addressed it since the outbreak?
I think we had discussions here, and I was talking about how serious the government is not taking this COVID-19. Definitely, if the Gambians fail, the government fail us more, because from the first day onset, when we know that our neighboring country had COVID-19, when we were COVID-19 free, we didn't have that lady coming from the UK. The porous borders and the uncontrolled borders should be controlled. What are the security forces doing? You have the PIU, you have the immigration, you have the army, you have the navy.
Yes.
You have the navy and you have the Republican Guard. Apart from that, you have the prison services and some of these other sister forces who are not doing virtually anything. Even the GRA, their enforcement department, can be utilized. Look at the most vulnerable border entry points that are so porous. Put them there on patrol at intervals to control the in and out of people coming from Senegal. Step one, you will close the borders immediately. Yes, notwithstanding relevant and essential goods can pass through, but make so close the border for any other business. But that is not happening here. Like your colleague has said, people are going in and out the way they like. Senegal, Mali, and how can you control the virus? Because this virus is always taken from one area to the other. People are carrying it. When you are restricted to an area, the tendency of you spreading the virus is very minimal. But when you move, that is what the COVID-19 virus likes.
Okay.
People moving from one end to the area, not controlled, and we are not observing. Like he said, I said it here, the social and the economic impact of COVID-19 is so huge that you have to have packages and stimulus packages.
And the president has spoke about that in his message. But Julde, you come in now and then. Before.
Yeah, I just want to comment on the president's message. Of course, he talked about, the economy of the Gambia, how it was affected due to the coronavirus. He spoke of the need for people to unite in the fight against COVID-19. But in his speech, do you think that the president was able to address the main issues that are affecting people, especially during this pandemic?
That's what I'm saying, Julde, here. The president is not addressing any major issue. We are united.
So what are the major issues according to
when you talk about the economy, what is the government of the Gambia under the leadership of President Barrow planning? What stimulus package do they have for the crippling economy? What are the diverse ways that they want to implement to help the economy? That should be outlined. We should know. The health sector, if you look at the frontline workers are most affected. What are going to be the improvements that you're going to do to make sure that you protect the life of people who will serve us? The health system is trained. Because I told you here, Gambia is not endowed with much of this medical experts. When you go to the dialysis unit of the RVTH, maybe you have only 1 or 2 doctors. Imagine if that one contracts coronavirus, how many people are in line every week to be doing dialysis because they have kidney problems? So you will see people will die. I also requested before in a program here, the government should call for help outside. Let them be provided with some experts from other countries who can help.
Which they did. They
understand?
Requested from Senegal for support.
Yes, not only Senegal, I say the outer world.
Yeah.
Like we have a relationship with Cuba. Cuba have more trained medical doctors than any other country in the world. Because it is like mandatory in Cuba when you finish basic secondary school, you have to undergo medical training. It is like a system in Cuba. Do that, let people come up here and boost the medical system. Thirdly, you can even put up regulations that will also make sure that even these face masks we are using is from this surgical face mask we are using is from pharmaceutical companies. What can you put forward that the pharmaceutical companies also can chip in? Because they've been making profits for 15, 20 years. Now we are in the midst of a pandemic. What can you do to reduce the price of this face mask so that it will be available to the ordinary Gambians? What are the discussions that you are having with the business? Let the price of foodstuff come down. But now you are saying, after even this regulation, before, when the regulation was there, you can buy a bag of onion for like 475. But today it's about 800 or 850 in some areas. During this pandemic, what is the government doing about that? Rural Gambia, yes, we are in a farming season, yes. Yeah. What are you doing to boost that farming system? And still now, because of the restriction, these lumos or weekly markets are still closed.
Yeah,
because it doesn't make sense for you to leave this conventional market in Serakunda open. When you talk about social distancing, when you understand the system of the Lumo, it is more social distancing in the Lumo than in our conventional markets. Because in the Lumos, you have sectors. When you want the cattle, you go to the cattle area. When you want like maize and these agricultural products, there's one area that they sell them. When you want vegetables and other things, there is one area they sell them. You know, and it is weekly. So you look at the impact it will have on their life in rural Gambia. So these are some of the things I'm talking about. Even the telecommunication companies should be assigned. At least you want people to stay home at certain areas. Make internet free from 10 o'clock till morning for all these providers. When you have a Gamcell SIM card, you have unlimited access from 10 to the morning, then you close it.
Yeah,
this is another way of keeping people home. Because if people are busy, they have their gadgets that they're using, they have internet, but what are they contributing?
Yeah, but you are talking about those are part of government responsibility, responses in helping, supporting the public, whatever.
Yes.
But we have also seen the government coming out with a package supporting Gambians. More than 500 million was disbursed to support Gambians, and I think that was a good step from the government. And the president is talking about the country's economy is affected, and you might find it difficult to government to do some of the things that you are talking about.
What I'm telling you, my gentleman, government is not a periodic thing; it's an everyday thing.
Yeah,
COVID-19 should not be a periodic thing.
Yeah,
the planning for COVID-19 should not be for only one package. When the government organize 500 million and give a rice package to the Gambian people, it should not stop there. That's why people are disappointed with the response of the government, because it should be a continuous thing. We should be proactive. The trajectory should change as the COVID-19 status are changing. Yeah, but we are complaining before. We had maybe 100 and something cases.
I was going to ask Nyauru, don't you think also the situation of the COVID-19 pandemic will dictate on how the government will respond to certain issues?
That is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I say the trajectory should change with the status quo of COVID-19.
Yeah.
But it's not happening. It is not happening. Now, for instance, I will cite an example. There is an overwhelming people getting infected. What is the government doing in erecting? Like Akin centers, that if the hospitals are filled, the beds are filled, where are people going to be quarantined and isolated?
Actually,
like in other countries,
at the stadium.
Yes, I said it's not only be restricted to the stadium, because that also will be accommodating 100 beds. You're talking about an infection rate of 183 minimum per day, or in excess. People posing positive. If you allow those people not to be isolated and be quarantined, you leave them to go home, there is a tendency they will also infect more people. So what are the measures? Even if you want to self-isolate some people in their home, what is the condition in their homes readily available for them to self-isolate? Those are things that they should be always foreseeing. It should be a daily routine thing. Should not be like we give 500 million and we've been complaining. Even the National Assembly members have been complaining in the manner in which the money has been expensed.
So in essence,
because there is no clarity in it, they've been talking about it. You say 500 million is no small money. When you look at the Gambian budget, the entire budget for the whole year is about how many billion? Now we have passed 1.5 billion. Only for this COVID-19, and it should be used on specific things, not the entire budget of the country. It should be mainly on health and buying equipment and containing. You've said it here. The statistics is saying 2% mortality rate in Senegal, 3.4 in Gambia. Yeah. You saying there's more life in Senegal, and it started there, and they are more populous than us. What is the reason? Because the government acts swiftly, and they implemented things that they need to implement. They're putting on this testing continuously. But whether we even have enough gadgets as to the end of the month, we don't know.
Okay.
These are things that you should come out and clear to the public. Also, the stigma and the trauma that goes with COVID-19, you should come out, at least stabilize people.
Yeah, this is what I'm...
So that give them the psychological belief that the government is doing something. Yeah. We are planning this. That's why I say the government should be saying to people what they plan, not to read to us what have passed. They are reading curfew, the restriction, the economy. We all know that it will have an impact on the economy. It has done, and it will continue doing it.
Now let me.
But what are our plans? Can you tell me in this speech, you've seen anything that is planning forward?
This is what I'm. Now let me ask you. Now, do you think the president was ready to speak to the nation, or is it because of Gambians we are demanding? It's a pressure, and he felt that I have to come out now and talk to the Gambians.
It's disappointing. This is why it's important to have a good leadership. Nobody should compel the leadership to come out and talk to people. That's why I say it should be more interactive. So now, even you cannot do it like weekly, but bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, you can come up, talk to the Gambian population. I have sat up with my cabinet. This is what we discussed. We want to implement such and such regulations. We want to help the Gambians.
Are you saying that
he is compelled? Of course, yes, we all know.
That's what you're saying?
Yes. Why didn't he come out from March to talk to the country? It only happened. All the time, it will always happen Even the first one, it happened when people started rumor mongering. They started saying the president is sick. The president is not even well because the vice president has contracted coronavirus. Maybe the president is also positive. They're saying he's negative. People have started spreading the rumors. They've started writing on their walls. Everybody is seeing it. Maybe the media unit at the State House saw that and say, Mr. President, it's high time for you to address the nation. That is sad. It should not have been like that.
Okay.
It should have been a duty for the president to be addressing the country even bi-weekly, every 2 weeks. Come and address your country. And it should be live and interactive that whatever you want to discuss it with the media. They know what is happening around town. Because I will see iAfrica going to places, picking up feeds. That is live feed. Attending some of these burials, putting it on. See that. What do you have in plan for people? What do you have in plan for Gambians? Economic-wise, health-wise,
okay.
And what do you want to do for the strained health system?
In conclusion,
finally, I want to come here.
Yeah, before you get to your final message, Jules, anything else you want to ask before?
It seems like we are all you're just looking at the government and the responsibility that they have, and of course there are failures in terms of the way they tackled COVID-19. But how about the responsibility of citizens in this coronavirus? Do you think that citizens are really also helping in terms of containing the spread of COVID-19 in the Gambia?
That is a well-structured question, and I would be happy. The citizenship will always emulate its leadership. They are saying some people are in self-denial. When the president's inner circle, some of them are in denial of the virus, and it went viral. People are seeing the video, they are seeing the extra, they are hearing the audio. They are in the president's inner circle, and they are in denial that there is no COVID-19 in this country. That's why I say leadership is important during these trying times. People have to be serious. People have to know that this is serious. It is a life-threatening disease or virus that it can take your life anytime, especially people with underlying conditions. You don't need to make it too easy for people to think that it's not existing. You don't not to make it too serious that people think that even you catch it, you will die, or when you have it, you cannot come out and talk to people and go and be cured and recover from it. Even you should not be cured, people are recovering from it. So you should be in between. Make sure you warn people, let them be careful, but also give them hope that there is hope. And it's only leadership that can do that. But not all the time waiting for people to compel you to come out. No, that is not the way it should be done. Gambia has to pass through these stages. And what you're saying, some responsible citizens also call on the government, especially political parties, to sit up, because this is not a political issue, it's a national issue. Let's put heads together and make sure we have a common stand on fighting COVID-19.
Yeah, but the president has called for that.
He called for it, but when he was written to, he didn't reply.
By who?
By the party leader of the United Democratic Party, and I can be vindicated by Dr. Sise if you had, he said it. The party leader wrote to all the political parties and the state to put heads together, sensitize the Gambian, because some of the, it is very important for people to understand the system of governance everywhere in the world and democracy. There are certain people, they tend to listen more to their political leaders, religious leaders and mentors and their idols than even the government. Yeah. So when you have an issue like Senegal, when it started, Macky called all venerable religious leaders plus political leaders who has influence in society and discussed the issues they should tackle COVID-19 with in Senegal, and it was very effective. Because if Serigne Touba's Khalif right now has to give ndigal, the Murids in Senegal will always adhere to that. If the Nyasen, the Khalif general there, will talk to the Tijanias, they will listen. Well, if the Lions, Khalif talk to them, they will listen. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, we don't have the same thing here.
We don't have the same thing here. Why? It should be leadership. And you don't have that. Now you have the political leaders reminding you, this is what we can do. Okay. Let's come together and fight this thing. Holistically, we have a holistic approach to this issue so that Gambia can be safe from COVID-19.
Okay.
You didn't reply, you didn't act swiftly, and it's only the political and civil society groups are trying. Okay. They're giving out liquids, they're giving out face masks to reduce the burden on the poor people.
All right. Now,
but Dusano actually questioned the role of the civil society.
No, if he discusses that, we here, especially me, I will not answer that. Because the sensitization starts with civil society groups. There are pictures. People have their archives. There are videos showing different civil society organizations and groups distributing face masks, bleaches, buckets for people to be washing, sanitizing before it even break out like this.
Okay.
So people like him as a presidential advisor to be a nuisance as a presidential advisor is the most pathetic thing. The Gambia is in a very pathetic state because of people like Dusam.
Okay,
you don't even understand what you're saying and where you should say it and how you should say it.
Let's come back to the president's statement. Anyway, that's fine. Now, Nyaur, of course, listening to what you said, it's similarly understandable. You are the least happy with the government response of the COVID-19 fight and all that. But overall, if you should look back from March to now, what would you look at least and say this government have done and what's commendable?
Definitely, speaking from my heart, I don't have any.
Like seriously?
Like seriously, I don't have any.
All right, that's fine.
Like seriously, I don't have any because I've not. You said, like
for you,
your colleague have said, even the
have
restrictions you're talking about, the restriction, just saying it merely and implementing it. This 45 days extensions and extension we had, it's not that important. What is more important is the implementation. Of those regulations.
Right.
If they are not implemented, you just say regulation, even face masks. Like he said, it's more of chin mask than face mask.
Okay.
Some people think it is just
put it
on because the law says we should. No, because you should sensitize. I said the civic sector of this civic education unit of the Gambia government should do a lot when it comes to COVID-19.
Okay.
That they should be informed that this is a serious thing.
All right.
They should not have the fear that they will all die when they contract the disease. But they should not also think it's not non-existent and it cannot do anything to them.
Finally, before we go...
That's a responsibility.
Yeah, indeed. Finally, of course, today is the 17th of August and we have over 1,000, COVID-19 active cases. What do you expect from government henceforward? And of course, generally from Gambians as a country, because numbers are increasing by the day, and this is again, call for national unity to fight, but more so to government. What do you expect after the president has spoken to the Gambia for the 6th time since the outbreak? What are you looking forward to? What are your expectations from now on?
My expectations will be, whatever the government does, let them think about how to help the crippling health system and the strenuous system we have in our health sector, by boosting and encouraging the frontline workers, give them their dues on time. That is called moral impetus. It will always encourage them to go to the extra mile, even they contract. But imagine a nurse on duty who has contracted coronavirus, is an isolation center. The Nurses Association have to buy food stuff and medical stuff like Dettol and things for them when they have been sent to quarantine by the government. Is that telling well on the central government? Okay. And hearing all the monies that have been spent by the Minister of Finance, I think it's a joke. They should not joke with people's lives. Okay. This coronavirus is real, and I'm advising all Gambians. Let us not do it for anybody. Let's do it for ourselves, for our brothers, our sisters, and our family, to stay put and make sure we adhere to all the WHO guidelines, observe the most stringent measures when it comes to self-cleanliness and hygiene, stay at home very well until if it is seriously necessary for you to go out. If it is not necessary, don't go out, and make sure the government also should sit up with the experts and discuss how to cope this COVID-19.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nyauru Koma, a regular contributor to our programs, and it was so good to have him on this platform. Well, viewers, with that, we wouldn't have anything to add. Just heed to the message, like he said. We all have to be more responsible and all that. We take a break and come back shortly with the newspaper review.
Debunking COVID-19 myths. Myth 1.
I'm not scared of COVID-19. Africans cannot contract the virus.
COVID-19 can affect anyone of any race, nationality, or skin color, as we have seen in many African countries, including the Gambia.
Myth 2.
Is it true eating garlic can help you prevent getting COVID-19?
No, there is no evidence for that. Keep washing your hands. Maintain at least 1 meter physical distance from others and use the preventive measures to protect yourself and the people you love.
Myth 3.
Hi, did you know that Gambia is spared? COVID-19 cannot survive in hot climates.
Actually, COVID-19 survives in all climates, hot or cold. Look at our neighboring country. We have to continue washing our hands and avoid touching our eyes, nose, and mouth.
Myth 4.
COVID-19 that only affect the urban areas. We are not affected here in the rural areas.
No, not all cases are in the combos. There are confirmed COVID-19 cases in other regions of the Gambia.
acca mu ngi noonu ñu dellu ci beneen half bi comme ni ñu koy defee saa su ne xam ngeen ne yegg si nañ ci newspaper review bi li gën a fees ci kër yëglekaay and kon ni nga ko waxee woon Julde Ndiaye soirée moom moo ñu ci yóbbu waaye laata loolu ñu gërëm bu baax Star GSM ci dooleel bi nga xamante ni dooleel nañ ko newspaper review bi bu leen fàtte lépp lu aju ci wàllu mobile ak lu mu àndal boo leen demee si seen maakaan dañu ko am noonu la ñoo yegg si Soxna Julde ñu nuyu la bu baax beneen yoon rek bàyyi la nga digtal ñu ci festee ci kër yëglekaay.
Jërëjëf Amadou, this morning newspapers yuñ fi am moo nekk the Standard Fourier newspaper and of course the Point newspaper. We will start with the Standard and see what their main headlines are this morning. And on the Standard newspaper, their front page story is Nam accuses Barrow of dividing Jimara, Dusado fires back. And another one is Barrow breaks silence. Mayor says BCC yet to receive government COVID-19 funds. And the other one is 9 charged with arson in Nyamina. Yeah, that is the story there. And finally on the Standard newspaper is 9 new deaths take Gambia's COVID-19 death toll to 63. These are the main stories in the Standard newspaper. We quickly look at one story there. On the Standard, we are going to dealt with the NAM accuses Barrow of dividing Jimara and Dusano fires back. The Gambia Democratic Congress parliamentarian for Jimara has accused President Adama Barrow of causing a massive division in the constituency where the president himself comes from. The GDC controls the president's home constituency at the National Assembly. Speaking to the GDC supporters in the constituency, Honorable Alhaji Sow alleged that since the coming into power, President Barrow has caused a serious political division in Jimara. We elected Barrow to graduate us from our past experience under Jammeh, but unfortunately, he is proven to be worse than Jammeh, especially in terms of divide and rule. It is pathetic, he said. He said the Gambian leader has created fragmentation among Jimara villages in his pick and choose policy whenever he is giving out donations. More of that on the Standard newspaper. Alhaji Sow moom is the National Assembly member for Jimara moom mu ngi wax ne daal Barrow moom mu ngi divide maanaam mu ngi xaajal nit yu nekk Jimara because su moo joxee donations according to him dafa xool strongholds am bi like supporters yoo xam ne ñoom ñoo ko nekk di support mu jox loolu noonu donation mu ne even in terms of electricity moo nekk courant bi dafa xool ñoo xam ne ñoo ko support mu def foofu noonu courant ñu ko support that is the opposition party ñooñu duñu am dara waaye Sanosa, Monica, the presidential advisor, he also fires back, meaning he replied to Alhaji Sow. His comments are baseless and from nekani lolu koku defu dara lo xamne waxut fi dara lo xamne dafa am.
Well, interesting is politics. You know, xam nga Jimara is a very strategic area pour President Barrow ak moom parti leader Mama Kandeh mooy GDC moom Alhaji Sow fu mu jógee ñoom ñaar yëpp foofu lay jógee waaye élection yu xew yëpp maanaam moom moo ko dee am ndam ñoom moo ko dee win léegi nag moom foofu la dee bu gisee division am na comme ni mu ko waxee xëj na fiil na ne mun na koo ñëw mu génn wax ko waaye du sanoon tamit weddi na ko ndax defend na li nga xamante ne moom mooy position nguur gi nee na loolu kii wax loolu amul loolu leneen la waaye daal yëfi politique moom lu ñu la ci mën a wax jarut sonn bu baax parce que doo dee xam naka la daal loolu laa ko mën a waxee so waaye division moo warut a am nag as a leader lu ñu expect mooy dañu war a yemale ñëpp bu support amee amul ne da nga support Barrow wala support loo Barrow dañu war a fexe ñëpp am jot ci ndimbal bi parce que it's for Gambia and jógewut ci poste président bi kese ci gafaka nguur gi la jógee so support bu mel noonu léegi tamit ñu koy yóbbu xëy na président bi du ko yegg sax dafay doy waar lu bari dañ dee jiital ay support
Dusano sa loolu la wax mu ne the president's food relief package mu ne National Disaster Management Agency ñoom ñoo responsible su loolu mu ne in terms of the electricity aspect moom sa village bu mu jógee because moom sa Jimara la jógee waaye ñooñu sa ñoom amuñ courant so lii moo nekka respondam bi to Honorable Sow
absolutely so loolu comme niñ ko waxee rek leneen la moom wax ak tontu la so su ko defee lu des ñu bàyyee ko tamit ñu seetaan ñu am seen jàngat because waxi politique la waaye xam naa ne 2021 soreetul incha allah bu ñu Covid ñu bàyyee buñ ci yegsee dana gën a interesting
yëppay leer inshallah all right that's very good. Thank you very much, Amadou. We move on to the Foroyaa newspaper and look at what their main headlines are this morning. Court keeps ex-Gambian Minister Sonko behind bars. Gambia police deny allegation of harassment of women in Vale. And the other one is Gambia registered 13 new COVID-19 related deaths, bringing the total number of deaths to 64. And the untold stories of street boys during the pandemic, and the other one is heavy storm destroy houses and farms in URR. On the question of the day of the Foroyaa newspaper is there any need for National Peace Commission? And finally, on the Foroyaa newspaper, we look at the editorial that is the state of emergency and the regulations. These are the stories on the Foroyaa newspaper. We quickly look at one or two stories on the Foroyaa newspaper, and of course we are going to deal with matters of the court. And the Gambia, this one is about Ousmane Sonko. Former Gambian Minister Ousmane Sonko will remain in prison in Switzerland as investigators prompt allegations of crimes against humanity and torture. Prosecutors told a court hearing that evidence against Sonko is increasing. The content was published on August 14, 2020. The Swiss Federal Court has again rejected a plea from Sonko to release him from prison on the advice of prosecutors. It emerged on Friday. They suspect Sonko of committing numerous crimes as police chief and interior minister of the Republic of the Gambia under the regime of former President Yahya Jammeh between 2006 and September 2016. Detail of that on the Foroyaa newspaper. Amadou Sonko.
Yeah, very well. Ousmane Sonko, comme ni nga ko waxee ba léegi ñu ngi ko téye foofu ci Switzerland. mu nekk li nga xamante ne mooy development bi nga xamante ne mu ngi yokku comme ni nga ko waxee having more evidences ci li nga xamante ne moom bu mu fi nekkee of course interior minister ak taf mu nekkoon na tamit IGP foog naa mu nekk def yi nga xamante ne defoon na ko comme ni nga ko waxee tuumal la jamono ji dañ ko jàppa teg ko benn place ñuy def ay gestu yëf yi bu boobaa nag dañ ko yóbbu ci kanam yoon ñu seet ndax moom liñ ko tuumal na def na ko ak yooyu ndax moom tamit na mën a defeen boppam waaye tollooguñ foofu moom sàkk woon na pour ñu bàyyi ko nee nañ déedéet duñ ko bàyyi ba léegi dañ ko téyendi gestu ay yëfam ak liñ koy tuumal ak yu ndax fan lay mujj su ko defee loolu mu nekkal am solo ñu bàyyil ñu seet gaay fan la ñëw mujjee ak loolu gannaaw loolu foog naa time bi mu ngi dem ñu seet léegi beneen léegi ci ñu jeexale ko ak point rek comme jël nañ benn ci
I would have loved to look at the veil issue because I think let me just quickly read that one. Gambia police, this one is the veil issue. Gambia police deny allegation of arrest harassment of women in Vale. That is another story in the Foroyaa newspaper. The Gambia police have denied allegations that they are involved in arresting and or harassing women were in Vale amid the COVID-19 pandemic, which has forced government to come up with regulations to cope the spread of COVID-19 in the country. A dispatch from the Poliso magazine of the police force on Facebook made the disclosure on Friday. The Office of the Inspector General of Police has noticed with keen interest information circulating on social media that the police are arresting or harassing Muslim women wearing veil, that is the niqab, for not wearing face masks. It is a common understanding that the niqab veil covers the mouth and nose, which is the ultimate purpose of the face mask wearing.
Wow.
Those are people like me who wear the niqab instead of the veil. Why police be dañu wax ne lolu amut arrestuñ ken with regards to people who are on niqab.
weddi tuuma la dañ leen ko doon tuumal social media bi ñuy wax ñu ngi lay sonal jigéen ñi nga xam ne dañoo muuru ak yu mel noonu te soluñ face mask weddi nañ ko nee neen loolu amul su ko defee mu ngi noonu ñu des ñu bàyyee ko gars yi rek ñu def si seen jàngat waaye ñu am yaakaar tamit du nekk lu ñuy def.
Exactly.
ñu jeexale ko ak point newspaper.
Finally, on the Point newspaper, we look at what their main headlines are this morning. Gambia Saudi students urge ministry to apologize, withdraw statement. That is the story on the Point newspaper. Another story on the Point newspaper is that Barrow warns against face mask curfew violations. The other one is Gambia registers 63 COVID-19 deaths in total, and finally is bow to pressure. GPU's VP resigns. These are the stories on the Point newspaper. Amadou, if time permits us, we quickly look at one story on the Point newspaper. All right. We are going to go with the Gambia Saudi students urge ministry to apologize, withdraw statement, and the Gambian students in Saudi Arabia whose details were published by the Ministry of Health for allegedly jumping quarantine after returning from the Kingdom have debunked the claims as false, saying the ministries failed in its responsibility. They thus urge the ministry to apologize and withdraw its published statement.
Wow, interesting one. When I saw the headline,
last week, the ministry published the names, details of these students who they allege flee or escape from quarantine.
mu nekk lu contradicting statements nguur gi through the ministry ñoom ñoo njëkk a wax ñaawlu acte bu gaay def tey nag ñoom buñ génnee ñëw weddi ñoom tamit publicly di wax ne loolu lu gaay wax ne amul te buñ ci yem nañ leen jégalu loolu beneen affaire la so what's going to be the response now from the authorities we will wait to know that and I think that's important waaye conflicting statement la wala reports yu ñoo dégg ci yëf yi te bu acte bi amee ñu bari jàppoon ne lu ñaaw la parce que waru ñoo ñëw jógee ci biti ñëw di génn quarantine forcé gi dem ñi bi nee nañ
ñoom according to what they're saying ne ñoom dañ leen promise on ne bu ñëwee Sénégal dañ waxoon ne dañ bëgg a am moto bu leen naa jox from the Senegal to the Gambia which the authorities complied they did but instead of being picked by the military health officials they were picked by the paramilitary ñu yóbbu leen ñu ne dañ leen naa yóbbu quarantine waaye dañ leen gisuñ ñooñu kenn foofu noonu so ñu ne after sitting for a number of minutes gisuñ kenn they decided to go back to their homes ñu ne loolu noonu lii dafa happen since July.
waaw loolu beneen affaire la I don't know which is which but whatever we'll find out and then hopefully ministry nañ leeral tamit wax li nga xamante ne mooy taxawaay bi su ko defee julde ñu gërëm la bu baax sant la ci taxawaay bi beneen yoon amati na solo ci noonu lañ lay joxaat kàddu gi rek nga jox gaay dig daje ba suba incha allah ci beneen édition bu ci yàlla àndee.
jërëjëf Amadou di jox ñu nekk di seetaan saa su ne rek si Good Morning Africa programme bi di daje ba suba incha allah for another edition of the Good Morning Africa program. Just know that COVID-19 is here and it is real. So stay safe, stay home, and adhere to all the precautionary measures.
Thank you very much for that wonderful message to end with. And with that, viewers, Filanyo Yemandi, and thank you very much as always for being with us. I hope you have been informed after coming from the weekend, giving you the latest update. Of course, dissecting the president's statement to the Gambians as well, and also giving you the latest information from the newspapers and all that. And keep watching Africa on our programs. Of course, there are some very interesting programs coming up later. But for now, thank you very much for the pleasure of your company. Ñu gërëm leen fi ngeen mënta nekk ci réew mi ba ci biti réew ci safoo bi waaye ci kóolute bi ci tamit ànd bi ngeen di ànd ak ñun toujours ci jotaay jële suba ak jàmm ñu dellu ci beneen édition incha allah Good Morning Africa fii ak balaak booba rek ñu ñaanal leen kenn du leen jàmm di leen wax do have a very pleasant afternoon bye from us.